Hey you guys, welcome to Blue Heron Bass Fishing. Today I just wanted to talk to you briefly about how I like to throw jerk baits, kind of how I retrieve them, the gear I use on them. So it won't be a super long video, but hopefully a bit informative to help you guys out. So starting off with the gear, if at all possible, I do find that fluorocarbon, straight fluorocarbon is the best thing to use on these. I use 12 pound. I'm going to probably experiment a bit next year, next season with some 8 to 10 pound just to see how that works, because I have heard you can get a slightly better action, but 12 pound is kind of what I've been using on them. Now I mostly throw it on a bait caster. I've got a St. Croix Victory jerk model. This is a 6' 8" medium extra fast tip, and then I've got a 6'3" Daiwa Tula reel. So that's kind of what I'm throwing on. Now I have thrown these both on bait casting and spinning gear, and I like them both. So there are some guys out there that like bait casters. There are some that like spinning gear. I use a combo of both, just depending upon what I'm throwing, the mood I'm in. To be quite honest, the direction I'm retrieving. So if I'm casting off to the right and retrieving in, it's actually a little easier for me to work with that left-handed spinning reel versus if I'm casting out to the left and I use a right-handed bait caster. So again, it's a matter of preference. Use what you want on there, but I would try to go for like a medium power rod, and I'd go something with a faster and extra fast tip on it. That's kind of what I would like to do, and shorter the better on these. So I wouldn't do like a 7'4". Keep that around the 7 foot or less, and I think you'll be fine. So now in terms of actually working this, let me make sure this camera is pointed to where you guys can see my hands. So what I will generally do, I'll cast out, good long cast, and then once it hits the water, I'll wind it down a little bit. You can put little twitches in there if you'd like. Wind it down just a bit so that you actually get that lure down to operating depth. So I'm just going to pull it down depending upon the line you're using and the depth of the lure that you're using. Anywhere from 3 to 8 or 10 feet is kind of common for these. So once it's in there, I'll basically wind it down a little bit, and then I like to start, I generally will start with 2 twitches. You want to do that with some slightly slack line. So you don't want the line tight to where you're pulling the lure through the water. That's going to make it look more almost like a crankbait that's a long one. You want a little bit of that slack line. Reason being, when you go to pull that, the line is going to catch up with it. It's going to pop it. And by that time, you're going to be returning that rod tip facing the lure again. So instead of dragging it through the water, it's going to be a snappy pop, side to side action. And that's what you want on these. So let me go ahead and quit talking. I'll cast it out there again, kind of show you how I do the retrieve on it. The fish haven't been biting at all today, so I'll be surprised just as much as you guys if I actually catch something. So cast it out there, wind it down a little bit, and then I'll generally let it sit for just a second, and I'll put 2 pops in it. That's how I like to start. Now, depending upon the cadence, you can go anywhere from pop, pop, let it sit anywhere from 2 to 10 plus seconds. Repeat, and I'm not saying to repeat the 2 pops. That's just kind of a cadence a lot of people do. They'll do a pop, pop, pause, pop, pop, pause. You can vary that based upon the time of the year and what type of cadence is needed for the fish. They'll tell you if they're wanting it really slow or if they're wanting it faster. That kind of depends on the fish, time of the year, body of water, all that stuff. So let me go ahead. I'll just kind of show you another way of doing it. Reel it out there, get it in there. Now sometimes if the fish are biting very fast, I've also noticed on super small jerk baits like the Rapala Husky Jerk 8, that I think it's 3 8" model, sometimes you can work those, you can work them pretty fast, guys. So you don't have to put a whole lot of pause into that. Even in colder water, they say to slow it down like crazy, but I've caught a few of them on, in the fall and heading into the winter with a little faster twitch. Now, in terms of how you work the reel with this, what I like to do, and this is going to vary based upon who you listen to on the internet, I will do my twitches, leave a little slack line, and I like to reel it up just to where it's about to pick up that slack before I do the additional jerks. Now, some guys will also show online, let me show you another way to do this. This is kind of another one. I've got some weeds on there, but it's okay. I'll just leave them on there. Watch me get a big bass on there, that'd be something. So what some folks will tell you to do is while you are doing the twitch, to move the reel handle with it. And the reason behind that, basically it's not going to move your bait other than your actual twitching movement. So you're not potentially reeling right now to gain slack, moving your bait slightly. You're keeping it more of a dead pause and then leading right into the twitch. So there's a few different ways to do it. Like I said, you can do a twitch, moving the reel handle while you're doing it, or like I like to do it, I'll do my twitches, kind of catch up to it a little bit while still leaving slack, and then repeat. That's kind of my preferred method, but I've caught them both ways work. So just depending upon your cadence and what you're in the mood for, guys, try both of them and see what works best. So now in terms of actually landing the fish on this, keep in mind you're working with very thin, very sharp treble hooks. So a lot of times when you're out there twitching it, you're going to sometimes not notice a bite, but generally what you'll do is usually going to be after a twitch. You're going to see the line kind of jump. You'll feel a slight twitch in it, something. If they're really biting hard, they'll completely just rip the line. What I generally do, you don't want to go into a really hard hook set on this because you're dealing with thin treble hooks and you should be using a medium power rod. What I'll generally do is I'll just kind of back into it. So when I know one's on, I'll just kind of apply some pressure on it off to the side. So I don't even want to say a side sweeping hook set. I really don't hook set much on these. It's more just kind of a bending into it from the side, putting some pressure on it. And I like to keep the pressure on it pretty much the entire time I'm fighting the fish until I've got it landed. Let me get that weed off of there, that piece of grass real quick. The other thing I was going to say, I like to leave my drag a bit looser than what I would on, say, something like a big, 5/0 swim jig hook or something like that. I like to leave that drag a little bit looser to where that fish can run a little bit. Now, you don't want to be underpowered to where they can pull you into some moss and you lose the fish, lose the lure, but leave a little bit of slip in that drag. The reason being, again, going back to those little hooks, you want to be able to play the fish a little bit on this versus what you would with a big, like a swim jig with a big hook, or a Texas rig 4/0, 5/0 worm. You jack those things and you race them in. But with this thing, like I said, leave a little bit of slack. It's not too bad if they pull it a little bit. I've landed way more fish having a bit of slack in that drag versus like a fixed drag. You definitely don't want a fixed drag with the jerkbaits, in my opinion. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Basically with that cadence, vary it up a little bit. I like to, sometimes I'll cast it out and I'll do 2 twitches followed by 1, 2, 3. I'll even go up to 4 or 5 sometimes. Vary it up. You don't have to do twitch, pause the whole time. Just mix it up a little bit, see what the fish are hitting on, and go from there. So anyways, hope that helps you guys. That's a real quick video. I was out here trying to fish and the bite is terrible today. It was great yesterday, but today it's horrible. So I'm just trying to see if I can catch anything. And I figured I'd make a video showing you guys how to do these things. So hopefully that helps somebody. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the comments. I am definitely still learning the jerkbait myself. But after a few years of just kind of messing with it and like almost never catching anything, I finally figured them out this year. So I hope some of that's helpful to you guys. If you have any questions, let me know. I primarily fish small ponds, and I know that they're not ideal, for jerkbaits, but you could definitely make them work. I've been making it work, and hope it works for you guys. So God bless you guys. Happy New Year. Have a great day. Thank you.